Good morning, dear students, and hearty welcome to this modern philosophy classes. And today we begin with empiricism. So, Renaissance and rationalist philosophers we have covered, and slowly we begin with empiricism. And for today's, we will be just talking something about empiricism in general, and then slowly we enter into the philosophers whom we are going to see under empiricism. So that's the thing. And then perhaps in the next class we begin with the father of empiricism called John Locke. Well, empiricism we have covered rationalism. Under that, we saw three philosophers, Rene, Descartes, Benedict Spinoza, and then Wilhelm Leibniz. Okay, there are still many other rationalist philosophers, but then they give us, these three give us an orientation towards what is rationalism. And again, for those who have not understood completely, rationalism insists upon innate ideas. In other words, mind is endowed with innate ideas. So, rationalist philosophers are known for their famous position that man is capable of having innate ideas prior to experience. Okay. But then empiricism just holds a position just opposite to it. There are no innate ideas. Okay. And then mind. In the beginning, study this terminology by heart, tabula rasa. Mind is empty slate. Which mind is empty without any innate ideas. That's the thing. And then the most important idea is experience is the source of knowledge. We need to know this one very clearly. Experience is the source of knowledge. There are no innate sources of ideas. We don't have any innate ideas. Therefore, we are going to say something in general about these positions. Means there are no innate ideas, mind in the beginning is tabula rasa, and experience is the source of knowledge. So about these ideas we say something, I will dictate for your sake. And then, there is also empiricism developed later. We are not interested. That is part of your third year studies. Follow. So that's part of your third year studies. But then we are talking here only about classical empiricism. What is this classical empiricism? Yes, they hold the theory that experience is the source. Experience means experience that we get through the five senses. Yes. Later, philosophers have developed various other or integrated various other elements, and then they have moved away from the classical understanding. But here for second year, we deal with the classical understanding of empiricism. And exactly as in rationalism, we are going to see three philosophers here too. Here too, René Descartes, Benedict Spinoza, and Wilhelm Leibniz. So too here we will have three philosophers: John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. Clear? Okay. A model, three of them: John Locke, Berkeley, and David Hume. These are the three philosophers whom will, and he is called with his famous book, Essay Concerning Human Understanding, is a very important work. Yes, he became so famous, and then other philosophers, George Berkeley and David Hume and all, drew the conclusions inherent in his philosophical notion. Clear? So to here, Descartes, you know it, I don't go into. Yes, started with one substance, and then, yes, two relative substances. Spinoza reduced everything to one. Clear? Yes, and then attributes are simply the modes of being, the known, what do you call, the substance and all that is, you do know it. Clear? Okay, here too. John Locke started with experience, and then experience means human experience and all that is. While Berkeley said, well, as the inherent salient feature of John Locke's philosophy, he drew the conclusion, esse est percipi, whatever is to be perceived and all, we will see it in. And then, well, he brings in God as the universal perceiver. Yeah, very interesting philosophical trend that we will see later. So one step by step. So today we write down what is empiricism, what is classical empiricism, and then the later development of empiricism, and then we write also the table of content for John Locke's philosophy. Okay, slowly we now enter into empiricism. Okay, the Renaissance period gave rise to various methods of inquiry. The Renaissance period gave rise to various types of, various methods of inquiry. Various methods of inquiry. Comma or colon you can put it. Rationalism and empiricism. Rationalism, which we have already seen, and the second one is empiricism. And in the process, each of this, rationalism and empiricism, each of this system gave an appropriate place, to God man and nature. All right. So, Renaissance gave birth to various, particularly rationalism and empiricism, and they gave due importance to each one. A place for God, for man, and for nature. That's all. Empiricism is the philosophy. Slowly we enter into empiricism. Empiricism is the philosophy which considers C-O-N, yes, S-I-D-E-R-S, considers empirical experience to be the source of knowledge. This is only an introduction. Clear. This will become very, very clear as we move into John Locke. Okay. Which considers empirical experience to be the source of knowledge. In other words, the original source of all our information, about the outside world. That sentence is a very key sentence. In other words, the original source of all our information about the outside world is from sensation. Yes, Asian. Where? Sense. Sensation. How many senses are there? Yes, 5 senses. So, in other words, all our informations, all our knowledge comes from sensation. Senses are of 5. So, in other words, you come to know the world, you come to know the other, you come to know about the rest of all what you know through sensation. A lot more can be said. A lot. And it's interesting too. But then we limit ourselves with these few sentences. Okay. All our information about the outside world is from sensation. Empiricists philosophers. Empiricists deny the theory of innate ideas. Yes, that is the first point. Deny the theory of innate ideas. Put a colon, a little more explication. Mind is tabula rasa. T-A-B-U-L-A, tabula rasa, comma, what does it mean? A blank sheet, B-L-A-N-K, blank sheet, also some use empty slate. Okay, empty slate means nothing is written on that. An empty one, you start writing, scribbling, that's the thing. Okay. Mind is tabula rasa, a blank sheet on which sensation means 5 senses, that which is produced through the impressions of the senses. Sensation leaves, L-E-A-V-E-S, leaves their impressions. impressions. So in other words, yes, mind is blank, it's a blank sheet, and over which or into which all the senses imprint their impressions. Sensations are imprinted, and thus the mind becomes something through which you come to know. Well, I don't give much explanation here. Now this is a position of the empiricists. Later will come Immanuel Kant, who will make use of what is available to him, the rationalism and empiricism, and take the best from rationalism and also the best from empiricism. So that's why I don't comment on what he said just now, because that is to be commended. Clear? Yes, mind is tabula rasa or blank sheet into which sensation is imprinting. But then what about this mind? They don't say anything about this mind. They said it's only passive. Mind is not passive. That is one thing that they forgot to discover. The capacity of the mind. Okay, we don't do it. First of all, my responsibility is to teach you what is empiricism, and then we will attack it or criticize it, the weakness of this system. Here too, yes, we said a few comments, but I limited myself with only a very minimum, because we need to take these two trends of thinking and mercilessly criticize it for a better understanding of senses as well as of the mind. Mind is not simply a passive agent. Mind is an active agent. Well, I am only giving a hint into what direction we are moving. Let it remain there, no problem. Okay, so the first point is, well, regarding innate idea, there are no innate ideas for the empiricist philosophers. Mind is tabula rasa, a blank sheet on which sensation leaves their impression. Okay, next paragraph. Empiricism has a glorious tradition. Empiricism has a glorious tradition. Empiricism has a glorious tradition in the writings of John Locke. In the writings of John Locke, George Berkeley, George George Berkeley, Berkeley, George Berkeley, and David Hume. David Hume, Hume. It has been extended, full stop, it has been extended into a rich epistemological school. It has been extended into a rich epistemological school by Bertrand Russell, B-E-R-T-R-A-N-D, Bertrand Russell, R-U-S-S-E-L-L, Russell, of whom we are going to mention, you will study in the third year. Russell, George Moore, M-O-R-E, George Moore, and a very important philosopher, Wittgenstein, W-I-T-T-G-E-N-S-T-E-I-N, Wittgenstein, W-I-T-T-G-E-N-S-T-E-I-N, Wittgenstein, and many other important philosophers of the present century. So we are in the middle with the modern philosophy. All right. So it has been extended, clear, means further. There is any trend of philosophy is further. When you come to Kant also you will see. Begins phenomenology later because he speaks about phenomena. Later comes phenomenology. So again that will come. Don't worry. So John Locke, George Berkeley and David Hume, they are called the classical. They represent the classical empiricism. But that was later developed further by Russell, George Moore, Wittgenstein and many others of the present century. However, there is some distinction between the classical empiricism, of modern philosophers, empiricism of modern philosophers and that of the contemporary ones. So there is a the classical empiricism is different from the contemporary one developed by Russell, Moore, Wittgenstein and many others. Okay. Next paragraph. Now, we are going to deal with only the classical empiricism. So, we are going to see what it is. According to the classical empiricism, knowledge begins and ends. Knowledge begins and ends with experience. Knowledge begins and ends with experience. That's why we said experience is the source of knowledge. Clear? Okay, knowledge begins and ends with experience. The term experience is vague. The term experience is vague. Experience can be many types or typical of. It may mean mystical intuition, mystical, mystical intuition, poetic vision, and even yogic perception, yogic, yogic perception. Generally, experience can cover a variety of experiences. Clear? That's what we said. However, experience in single inverted comma. However, experience in single inverted comma. What do you mean by experience in the classical sense of the term, as we are going to study in John Locke, George Berkeley and David Hume. Okay. However, experience for the classical empiricist means MEANS, sense experience. Sense experience. Sense experience or sense impressions sense impressions. So that is not anything else. Clear? Every form of knowledge every form of knowledge is ultimately based on sense experience, outer and inner. What is it? We will see shortly when we deal with John Locke. What is this? Outer experience, inner experience and all. I don't go for explanation because it's not the place to give explanation. Okay. Every form of knowledge is ultimately based on sense experience, outer or inner. Okay. Rest of the explanation also does not hold good now, because when we come to John Locke, experience is the source of knowledge, experience is twofold, external, internal and all, we will deal it with. Okay. Next paragraph. The main characteristics of empiricism are you can write one below the other. Only 2, 3 are there. The first one. Mind at birth, B-I-R-T-H. The mind at birth, is a clean slate, or tabula rasa, T-A-B-U-L-A, tabula rasa, R-A-S-A, tabula rasa. All the characters of knowledge are acquired, A-C-Q-U-I-R-E-D, acquired through sense experience, or all the characters of knowledge are characterized through sense experience. Next one, sensation and reflection. Put a colon. The outer and inner sense experience, sensation and reflection, the outer and inner sense experience are the only two windows through which the mind comes to be filled with light. The mind comes to be filled with light. The mind comes to be filled with light. So these are, suppose a short question is asked, please write a short explanation about empiricism. Yes, this is the one. You don't have to say something about empiricism and rationalism. What was given in the beginning about rationalism and empiricism, you write. And then you also write the philosophers whom we have seen. You don't have to go in details about anyone. Simply if they ask for, please explain empiricism and rationalism, you have to go that way. And now we go into the first one called John Locke. L-O-C-K-E. 1632 to 1704. 1632 to 1704. Okay, one introduction. Introduction. Naturally, life and works. Life and works. Well, you'll complete it. 1, 2, aim and method. Aim and method. 2, the philosophy of knowledge. The theory of knowledge or the philosophy of knowledge. Theory of knowledge. Theory of knowledge. Yes, to 1. Origin of knowledge. Origin of knowledge. Yes, 2, 1, 1. Refutation of innate ideas. R-E-F-U-T-A-T-I-O-N. Refutation of innate ideas. That is what was explained, yes, in the beginning. And then 2, 1, 2, that is, experience is the source of knowledge. They refute innate ideas and then they say experience is the source of knowledge. And then, well, we have the degree of knowledge, degree and extension of knowledge. Okay. Then we go into the third, namely the philosophy of the self. From number 1, 2 is over, 3. The philosophy of the self, God and world. The philosophy of the self, yes, God and the world. Clear? Yes. First one, yes, 3, 1, the self. 3, 2, God's existence. Third one, external world. So, what is stated here, we split into 3, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3. This is, I write it precisely because you need to write a paper, scientific paper next year. This is how you need to, yes, write. And then comes 4 Locke's social philosophy. Locke's social philosophy. 4, 1, that is ethics, and then politics. Ethics, politics. And then the last one, critical appraisal. So that's what is going to be. And we will start with John Locke, introduction. As it is already said, life and works, your responsibility, aim and method. In the introduction we will be dealing with, and then we enter into the theory of knowledge. Slowly, let us also learn, yes, this type of philosophy. And then once empiricism philosophers are covered, well, we combine these two thoughts into transcendental idealism. That will be the next stage. Okay. But then before that, we need to know what is John Locke's philosophy, George Berkeley's, and then David Hume's. For the moment, we stop. We'll start with John Locke tomorrow.